Hello and welcome to the Korean Beauty Show podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Lee, the founder of Style Story, your go-to for all things K-beauty, and of course your guide to the world of Korean skincare. Now, I am here today with a hotly requested episode by several of our listeners, and they pointed out to me that I've never actually put together a guide for teen skincare. So quite a few of our listeners have teenagers or are maybe even grandmothers, grandfathers that have teenage grandchildren that they are wanting to, help out, particularly when they see the teens struggling through things like acne and whatnot. And I've had quite a few people reach out to me and just sort of say, my teenage daughter or my teenage grandson are really, really struggling with their skin. What products are safe for them to use? Is KBeauty a good choice for them? Can you run me through how this works on teenage skin? And obviously that was a big oversight on my part that we've never actually done that. I'm not sure if we have too many people in their teens actually listening to the show. If you are, you'll have to reach out to me and let me know. But what I thought I would do is go through some practical tips about how to care for skin at this age and some product recommendations that can help for obviously the teens themselves, but also for parents and grandparents and anyone that's just wanting to, give a little bit of a helping hand without sort of being overbearing or getting too involved. And I think that, for some of us, it's further back in time than others, but you can probably remember the roller coaster of just everything, of emotions, of the hormonal changes, the changes in your body and your skin when you're a teenager. And it is a time when we have an excess of sebum, oiliness, acne, and that means it's also a time when simple and safe is usually best. I think one of the really great things for KBeauty when it comes to treating, or not treating necessarily, but just supporting skin through the teenage years is that it is really focused on nourishing the skin with doing as minimal irritation as possible and just promoting healthy, clean and clear skin. So what I've done is I've put together a bit of a routine that you could suggest and maybe a couple of products that you would like to sort of pick out for them if your teen is going through some of these things. Now, I remember being a teenager really, really well because from the age of about 14 is when I started to get really, really bad acne. And one of the things that I did, or that my family did rather, I guess, was we made the call not to seek medical intervention straight away. And in my case, that ended up being the wrong call. And the reason I say that is because my acne, which my family at the time sort of just judged to be, pimples and they'll go away, it ended up being full-blown cystic acne. And unfortunately, in the case of conditions, and it is a medical condition, like cystic acne, there is just not a cure for it, treating it at home with skincare. I had a very, very lovely friend of the family who was a skincare rep for one of the French beauty brands, and she used to use that in clinic. She was what we call in Australia a beauty therapist. In other countries, they call them estheticians, and she performed, a series of treatments on my skin to try and do extractions and steaming and try and get rid of the acne over a period of about 6 months. And unfortunately, she was really disappointed in the end. She said I was one of the only cases that just failed. Nothing that she did worked for me. And what it meant was by the time I finally went to the doctor, tried several rounds of, medicine, and then finally was put on the drug that actually cleared up my acne, by then it was too late and I had some really severe scarring on my skin. So one thing I would say is that if the skin is progressing to the stage where it's not just a couple of pimples, or you've been trying to treat it at home for, a couple of months and it's just getting worse, don't be shy to go and seek medical attention. Acne is actually a recognized medical condition, and I'm not going to say that it's the same in every single country, but there can be a lot of rebates and things like that you can actually get from, you know, the pharmaceutical benefit scheme for conditions like acne. And the same thing for treatment of acne scarring. I remember when I did have some treatments done for my scarring in my late teens, a lot of that, I actually got a Medicare benefit back from that in Australia, and that's because acne scarring is a recognized medical condition as well that you can receive treatment for. It's not like a vanity thing. So that's just, I always like to just start out any segment when we're talking particularly about acne, because I think there is a pretty big difference between pimples, blemishes, whatever you'd like to call them, and then actual acne, things like cystic acne. And one of them can be, you know, managed quite well with a good skincare routine at home. And then the other one, you will just be fighting an uphill battle, and it can be really, really damaging for your teen's self-confidence, to have a serious medical condition like that goes untreated for a long period of time, particularly if it's on their face. You know, things like acne can be very, very distressing, but it's not the face that you're presenting to the world. I think it can be a lot more damaging for self-confidence and just really harm them over the long term if a serious condition is left untreated for too long. So that's the only thing that I would say. I know all parents want the best for their kids, but be a little bit critical if it really is just a couple of pimples, or whether it is maybe time to go and seek some treatment. Just because the quicker you can nip it in the bud, the quicker it can, start to get better, and hopefully without permanent damage to the skin. So with that said, and the other caveat that I am, of course, not a medical doctor, these are just at-home skin tips. One of the really important things, and one of the things that teens can definitely start doing, from the time they're even 12, 13, is to really make sure that they have a skincare routine in the first place, that they are taking care of their skin. They should be wearing sunscreen, particularly if you live somewhere like Australia. Definitely make sure that they're wearing sunscreen, because that will help. And so starting off then at night, it is a really good idea to be using a cleanser. And this is particularly important when our skin is oil prone. Clean skin is also the basis for a good skincare routine as well. So when it comes to teen skin, I really like to focus on the kind of ingredients that help to absorb excess oil. So you'll notice in KBeauty products that have things like kaolin, maybe volcanic ash or charcoal. All of those kind of things are perfect for cleansing because they can help to sort of soak up that oil and also to lightly exfoliate at the same time. So there's lots of good products on the market like that. Innisfree makes a really good line like that. For skin that has, already got a lot of acne, or potentially a little bit of skin damage from, constant breakouts, one product that I really love is Applebee's Sensitive Micro Cleansing Foam. And that just will help with everything. It will help to boost the barrier. It will help with active breakouts, and also to ensure that the skin is not being overstimulated. And it comes in a gel texture, which is just a nice fit for skin at that age. That's not a product just for teenagers, but it's one that I really enjoy. Our Jellicoe Cinnamon Toast Sugar Scrub Foam is another one that can be really good for teen skin because it can help with the congestion and blackheads. Basically what it is, it's actually a 2-in-1. So it can cleanse and exfoliate, but whether it does one or the other is up to you, because you can customize it at each wash. It has sugar crystals in it, which obviously melt when they come into contact with either your skin or water. So if you're after a gentle exfoliation, you just leave the product a little bit grittier and you can use it to exfoliate your skin. But if you were just wanting to wash your face like a regular face wash, what I do is take the sugar crystals in my hands, rub my hands together and melt them down, and then you're ready to just use it as a regular face washer. So that's just a really handy 2-in-1 product that you can literally every single time you wash your face change it and make it perfect for your skin, so that you're not exfoliating at every wash, but if you do need it, you can have it a little bit grittier. Now for skin that is very sensitive, Subi's powder cleanser is another really beautiful product, and the best thing about this one is that it's a liquid free formula, so it's a great one for, if your teen is at the gym a lot and needs to cleanse after working out. If they're going on sleepovers, they can pop it in their sleepover bag and just use it on the go and just make it up fresh every time. All you do is add water and the formula will foam up almost like a fluffy cloud. So that's a really good option for sensitive skin. Now, the next step that I would suggest, and this one can often be overlooked, especially by parents who remember toners from the 80s and 90s, but toner can actually be a really good step to add into the routine, remembering that we don't want to load teen skin up and put on a whole bunch of different oils and serums and emulsions, and that is just not, for one, I don't think they're going to follow along with it if there's too many steps. But we're not talking about, products that are filled with alcohol, like 90% alcohol, nothing like that. And we're not talking about products that are going to strip out every last drop of moisture. What we're really doing is just making sure that we have prepped the skin as best as possible to get the most out of any other products that they put on afterwards. One of my absolute favorite products, and again, this is not just for teenagers, but Applebee's Centella Complex Mist Toner. And the reason I love it is because it is a mist, and that is just so handy. It makes the routine really, really quick. They don't even need to touch their face. They literally just spritz it on. It's good for calming just any sort of irritations, redness, and sensitivities, and that's because it contains this ingredient, Centella asiatica, that is just a staple for the anti-acne and barrier repair products in Korea. So that's just a really nice, quick, easy option that will last for a while because it's a generous size. For the next step, what I would recommend is, if the skin is really in trouble, it's just, breaking out a lot, or it's very, very oily, or they've got really wide pores that they're worried about, I would recommend adding in a serum, but it's important to make sure that we're using the right serum for teen skin. If they do have these really wide pores and they're, getting a bit upset about them, Tiam has a good product called Vita B3 Source, and this one has the niacinamide in it, which is a great option for managing problem pores. It's very cheap and cheerful. You can go and check that one out on the Style Story website. I think it's under $25, so you don't need to spend a whole lot. The other option, if your teen is breaking out, is a product like Some by Me's AHA, BHA, PHA 30-day Miracle Serum. I like that product because it does have the skincare acids in them, which are good for managing the breakouts, but they're not really strong, and that's just not what we do. Not want to be dousing teen skin in really, really strong high acids. So this one just has a nice measurable percentage of them that I think is a good option for younger skin. Another option that they may like if they do have oily skin, but it is also dry in patches, is something like Innisfree's green tea serum. But I'd kind of leave it there with serums. I wouldn't be loading up on a whole heap of other different serums. I just don't think it's necessary for teenage skin. Moisturiser is probably the one thing that I would say, if you could only get them to do 3 steps, I would make that be the cleanser, the toner, and the moisturiser. And that is because moisturiser, even though the skin is oily, it's really critical that they continue to moisturize. Skipping out on moisturizer when the skin is already oily is not going to help. What you're wanting to do is balance the skin's oil and moisture levels, and a good moisturizer does that. There are lots of really light, refreshing formulas that won't weigh teen skin down. Rovectin makes a nice product called the Clean Lotus Water Cream, and I think that's also a favorite of Beauty by Hiram, which a lot of teenagers will probably be familiar with him. So you can recommend that one. iUnique Centella Gel Cream is another one, and then One Thing has a similar version called One Thing Centella Soothing Cream, all up on the Style Story website, all nice and cheap and cheerful. Another popular product that is good for teen skin is Apue's Madecassoside Cream. That's got a nice soothing formula. Now, the other one that I personally really, really love, but it does have the tea tree smell, I will just caveat that. If that tea tree smell is a problem for you or your teen, then this product does have it, but I find it really, really helpful for active breakouts, is the Tosuwung Ovalescent Red Spot Cream. Now, this one is just absolutely raved about in our Style Story community. A lot of people really love this product. It's just really great for taking out the angriness in a lot of breakouts. So do check that one out, particularly if your teen is quite breakout prone. In general, when it comes to, dealing with pimples and pore problems and everything like that, I think that pimple patches are such a great product. I wish they had been around when I was a teenager. I definitely recommend them. I think teens can really benefit from something like Subi's Perfect Pimple Patch that doesn't have drugs in it. If you're going down the medicated route and you are also pursuing care under a physician for acne, just double check all of this with them, because if you're using something that does have medication in it in the patch itself, that can interfere with whatever drugs the doctor is prescribing. So check all of this with them. But I just think that pimple patches can be a really good way for them to conceal their pimples, but also just sort of make sure that they're not picking at it, which can be a really big problem. Once the little cover is on the pimple itself, the little pimple patch is there, it just sort of defocuses their attention away from it, so they can just get on with school or whatever else they've got to do without sort of sitting there picking at it and agonizing it over. And of course, once you get nails into the pimples, it just can exacerbate the problem and spread the bacteria around. So I would recommend just keeping hands away from them as best as possible. Just patch them and sort of, try and forget about it until the patch is taken care of business, so to speak. I think that the only caution I would give when it comes to pimple patches is knowing when to use them and when they're not going to work. They work best for pimples with heads on them. So the little white heads of the pimples, they are the ones that are the most effective to pimple patch. I've seen varied success with using ones that are trying to get pimples deeper down into the surface of the skin. It is possible. We have some needle patches on Style Story's website as well. It really depends on your skin type. It really depends on the type of pimple. The only thing I would say is if you are putting pimples onto really inflamed spots and spots that are infected, you are probably asking for trouble. And I would not be patching skin that has recently finished a course of treatment. for anti-acne medication, because I have heard that it can lead to things like bleeding and whatnot. So just because the skin is that much thinner and more sensitive, it can be a little bit of a problem. So just check all of that with the doctor if you are on any type of antibiotic, if you are, you know, even some of the face washes that they can prescribe and the over-the-counter stuff, just check with a pharmacist or whoever's giving it to you to make sure it's going to be okay to use, because these are just an at-home treatment thing and you wouldn't want to do anything that would interfere. In general, like I mentioned, all of the clays and the charcoals are great ingredients to keep a lookout for. Eucalyptus, tea tree, I know the smell can be a little bit much for some teens and also some parents as well, but they are good ingredients as well for breakout prone skin. So they're just a couple to look out for. But we really shouldn't be trying to replicate a full adult skincare routine for our teenagers. It's just too much. It's just not necessary. So those are about 4 steps, and you know, a little bit of a treatment option with your pimple patches, you know, for blemishes and things like that. But if it is anything more than blemishes or pimples, I would go and get it looked at by a specialist and just get the tick of approval from them that you're definitely doing the right thing. That would be my main tips for teens. So I hope that some of those are useful. I hope you've picked up some products in there that you think will be a good fit for your teen. Of course, you are always free to reach out to me or our team if you want any more specific sort of advice for your teen skin. We're always happy to help, so feel free to reach out and do that. But that is all I had for today, so I'm gonna finish up there, and I will be back in your ears next week with more from the home of South Korean beauty. My brain is still not working, guys. I'm still not feeling 100%. I will be back with more from the home of KBeauty, Seoul, South Korea, next week. Until then, I will see you on Style Story.